Hello everybody and welcome to this tutorial video where we are going to be building a board game review predictor using a couple different regression models. We're going to use a linear regressor and we're also going to use a random forest regressor and compare and contrast the results that we achieve in both of them. So this is going to be an excellent project. We're going to use a GitHub repository, so I'll show you how to install and use GitHub as well. And then once again, just like in our other project videos, we are going to be using the Jupyter Notebook to actually develop our application, as well as Conda to install and manage our packages. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So for this project, we're going to need data, as all machine learning projects do. And that data today is going to come from an individual on GitHub who built a scraper that pulled a bunch of board game reviews and board game informations from Board Game Geek, I believe was the website. So this is open source data and it's available on GitHub, so I'm going to show you how to get there. And this is GitHub here. And actually the repository that we are going to be using was developed by Sean Beck. And so he's got a lot of different stuff on here. Once again, all open sourced. The Board Game Geek is where we're going to want to go. And he has this games.csv, which has all the information we need. It has, I think, around 81,000 different board games that are in this file and have information for and reviews. So it is an incredible source of information that will be available to us. And so it's usually important to check licensing. This is GitHub, so if it's most of it's open source, but here we see again that this has an MIT license, which means that we can use it and modify it in any way that we would want without liability or warranty. So this is freely available to us. No worries about that there. So let's show you how you get this going. I'm going to start up my Anaconda, so I'm going to go to the command prompt. I'm actually going to run this as an administrator just so I can modify some of my Conda information. So cd, I'm going to go over to my tutorial folder. So there's that. Alright, and so now there's a couple different ways to get information from GitHub. If you go back here, you can, GitHub's divided into repositories. You could download or clone this entire repository straight from online using this button here, and it provides the link. And you can download a zip file just like that. However, GitHub comes up a lot, and oftentimes you need to pull information from different repositories from the command line. So I'm actually going to show you how to install Git. I'm on Windows, so that's what I will be using, but there are installation instructions here for both Linux, Mac, and of course Windows, or you could install from source. So these are all good methods. I'll be doing the Windows method and we'll show you how to get that set up. This installation is going to allow us to download these repositories straight from the command line. So let's do that. If you followed along with the other projects, like I'm sure you did, then you have Conda already installed. Remember, Anaconda is a package manager. And so you can install Git straight from Conda, and actually that's what I'm going to be doing. They do suggest using a Windows installer here. However, since we've been using Conda, we're going to go ahead and do that. So Conda install Anaconda Git, and this is going to do the installation. I already have this installed, so I'm not going to go ahead and click enter. But if you need to get Git, this would be a good time to pause the video, run enter, or run this command here, and make sure everything's set up and installed correctly. Alright, once we have that, we can go ahead and clone the repository. So cloning repositories, once you have Git installed, is very, very easy. All you type is git clone, and clone is the same as like a download. It's a copy and download. And then we're going to type in our URL here. Actually, we can go straight here and we can just Control A and Control C to copy this if we want. So here is the URL, and this is the scrapers repository from Sean Beck. username the weatherman. So once we have this, and whatever folder you are currently in is where it's going to download it. So we'll go ahead and click enter. So it's cloning. And here we go, and it got all those. So let's go ahead and open up our Windows Explorer, and we'll see if this did indeed download. So yep, we have the folder here. We actually don't need this entire repository, so what I'm going to go do now, and you see that all the files listed up on the GitHub page are here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into that Board Game Geek folder, and I'm going to get that games.csv file. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to come all the way back out to my tutorial folder and just paste this here. That's all we actually need. So I can go ahead and just delete this now, and we'll get rid of that. All right, so we have our data set. And now let's dive into opening it up and using it in Jupyter Notebooks with Python. So we'll go back to our command line here, and we'll just type Jupyter Notebooks. And Jupyter's in your path. This will open up, or Jupyter Notebook, excuse me. This will open up a notebook in your web browser. So this can sometimes take a second or two, but here we go. And it's starting that up. All right, and so whatever folder that you were in when you type Jupyter Notebook, once again, is where it opens up your project. So you can see we have our games.csv file right here since we're in the tutorial folder. That's perfect. That's what we need. I'm going to start a new notebook here. Just do Python default. And let's give this a name. We'll call it Board Game Review Prediction. Perfect. And now we will know what it is. All right. So we're going to have to import a couple packages. And remember, if one of these throws an error, it's as simple as going back and typing conda install whatever package you needed. But for now, let's just import them and make sure that we're all on the same page. I'm going to do an import sys so we can see which version of Python I'm using. Import pandas, import matplotlib, import seaborn is a new one that we're going to need, and then import sklearn. So I want to do print functions here so we can see which versions we are using. Oh, no capital needed. So we'll do this for all of them. It's important that we're using the same versions sometimes because you'll get different results. So it's always a good idea to check. I'm using Python 2.7. That's going to be the most important one. But all these others are good to check as well. All right. So Shift Enter to run this cell. And it's thinking, it's trying to import all of these. I should have all of them installed already. You may need to go back and install Seaborn. These other ones we should have used in previous projects. So those should already be available and accessible. It is thinking. And there we go. So Python 2.7, this is the pandas, matplotlib, seaborn, and sklearn. All right, but we actually need to go back and import some specific packages. So let's do import matplotlib.pyplot as plt, and we're going to import seaborn as SNS, and then we're actually going to import the models, well, the sklearn models that we need. We might actually, well, we can do the train test split from this one. We'll wait on doing the random forest and the linear regressor until later. So we're going to need the model selection, import train test splits. All right, and we're going to go ahead and click Shift Enter on this once again.